W6MVM and 6AF on the KWM2. How are you doing?
In 6AF, W6MVM, doing fine. Just heard you tuning up. I was, I just tuned up with the another rig and get the antenna set up. This rig was already tuned on frequency. Anyway, good to hear you in 6AF, I believe, W6MVM.
All right, audio frequency are always friendly. At least I try. And tonight I'm being really lazy. Don't tell anybody. So anybody who's listening, turn your volume down. I'm using a external DDS generator instead of the internal PTO on my KWM2. And bridged onto that is a frequency counter that's programmed to read 3895. So here I am within about 2 hertz. And I won't have to keep adjusting my VFO knob tonight. There you go, N6AF.
N6AF, W6MVM. Oh, that sounds like a dandy gadget. I just got one of the digital frequency counters from a friend, and I haven't put it on yet. And I found another one in the garage here from my wife's previous husband, who also collected old equipment. So I've got 2 frequency counters to try on these rigs, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm still just trying to do it by ear. Of course, that's hard with a 2.1 mech filter and a 10 speaker. Anyway, back to you, N6AF, W6MVM.
Yeah, very good. Well, the main cheat on this end is I'm substituting an external generator in place of the internal PTO, right? So it's locked right on frequency within 1 or 2 hertz. But and the other counter I have is it's made by Electronic Specialty Products. This guy, Garage Shop, really good job. It's for use with lots of different boat anchors, pre-programmed. So it'll look at the VFO frequency, maybe typically 5 to 5.5, or in the case of a KWM2, it's 2.5 to 2.7 megs, and it does all the calculation, the offset, and the reverse tuning on certain bands. So it reads out your final RF frequency, but just looking at the VFO. So it's a pretty neat deal with about, I don't know, maybe 40 different boat anchors programmed into it, pre-programmed, and 6AF.
Sounds like quite a gadget. We're coming up on net time here pretty soon, and I'm glad you got me on frequency, which I really appreciate. No, 43. I guess you got a few more minutes before they do early. Yeah, it sounds like a dandy gadget. I'll have to take a look at that. I had thought about doing that same thing myself with a little microprocessor I have. Anyway, W6MVM.
Yeah, the earlies is starting in about a few seconds here, so I'm just going to sit back and listen.
Well, I guess it's time for me to ask, is this frequency in use, W7MS?
It is in abuse, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you got the dandy gadget on too. I've been listening. So, yeah, W7MS here. I've got you, Chuck, N6AF, also known as Joe here in Reno, but we'll use the correct name. I heard Tom earlier, W07I. And then Dennis, ND7M, in beautiful Winnemucca. Well, no, he's in Pahrump, and Tom's in Winnemucca. Let's get that straight. And MVM up there in God's country, in the gold country. So, good signal, Mike. Your S9 plus 20 and Chuck's S9 plus. So everybody's doing well, and I can change frequency if Chuck insists. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, net control is the frequency standard, so whatever you do, we will follow.
Okay, well, I'm on the HF380 that has an oven standard that was, within the last few weeks, was tweaked to a GPS standard frequency counter, so I think I'm within a hertz or two. Chuck can verify that. What do you think, Chuck?
Well, I got to link you up to the cesium clock at one of our Department of Defense centers. Stand by a minute.
Okay, well, I'll throw a carrier up if you want to do a frequency check. Just let me know.
I think we're close enough. No problem.
Okay, well, sounding good, and yeah, I appreciate it. I had talked to Dennis earlier. He was seeking a volunteer for tonight, and here I is. But also what I'm experiencing, of course, is just the normal summer propagation, but also with the sudden blossoming of daylight hours here at nighttime. I discovered all the noise sources, i.e. solar panels, that have been installed since the last Oh Dark 30, so I've got some new noise issues, but there's just a hideous switch mode birdie that falls right on 3895 that makes operating virtually impossible. But it's currently not here, and now that I've mentioned it, I probably have jinxed myself, but we'll give it a shot. W7MS.
W079.
Yeah, hi Tom. How's the population boom in Winnemucca?
Well, I think it's doing okay. Things haven't gone too nuts here in town, and we're waiting for that lithium mine to take off, and then all bets are off.
Yeah, it's going to be the Wild West. You're going to be the Battle Mountain of Central Nevada, northern edition.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I always say that because we know about Battle Mountain, but my daughter's boyfriend hails sort of kind of from Battle Mountain. That's where his parents live, so I've got to be careful about BM.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. No, hey, it's good to hear you. And yeah, if you'll get me on the list there, I'll make it for one round tonight anyway.
Okay, I got you. And how about Dennis in beautiful downtown Pahrump?
Well, Dennis is here, and beautiful downtown Pahrump is about 5 miles away. So I'm in the suburbs of beautiful downtown Pahrump.
Okay, well, that's thanks for the correction because well, no comment, but I can only imagine that Old Town Pahrump is really unique.
Well, yeah, it is. We've got well, actually, one of the original general stores that was out here. I think it started in the 1940s. It closed its doors, and I think the owner finally said he had enough fun for this lifetime, and so it's gone. But hey, we still got Walmart and all the other chain stores, so life is good.
Oh, you bet. S9 plus 10. Plus, I heard from Dennis that you did a short issue drop in there on the vintage sideband barbecue.
Yeah, I went over and saw the festivities and everything, and picked up another S-line from Mel, and yeah, it was in general nice get together. I didn't stick around for the actual feed session. I had to leave around 2 o'clock because it's about a 4-hour drive for me, and as we start getting towards the sunset in this general area, driving on the roads can be a real issue. We have a lot of burros and other wild animals, so to speak, that like to just stand in the middle of the road. And when it's getting dark out, it's tough to see those guys.
Yeah, probably not to mention Billy Bob and the pick-em-up truck after a couple six-packs.
Well, yeah, usually the area that I'm driving in, if they don't crash before they get out there, it's usually pretty safe.
Well, that's a great explanation. So Mike, S9 plus 20 currently, so you're doing quite well, so nice to hear you.
Oh, yeah, W7MS, W6MVM. Yeah, good to hear you guys, too. Everybody is strong, and the noise is low. So hopefully it'll be a good net tonight. And, I just took down all the antennas in Soulsbyville. And I've also taken them down at the mountain cabin up at Pinecrest. So we're here at the ranch. I'll be moving the license address over here pretty soon. So we're bringing all the equipment over here. I'll have my KW S1 and 75A4 set up over here fairly soon, a month or so, maybe at the least, at the longest. And looking forward to just being here. Back to you there, W7MS, W6MVM.
Well, thanks, Mike. And, well, I guess you have no choice but to move the equipment now, especially when the antennas are down. It's a good motivation factor to get everything moved. But looking forward, again, as we have said for some time now, that we can get the KWS-1 going there at the ranch. And, of course, Dennis has got to elaborate on his latest S-line acquisition, but we'll maybe save that for a few minutes in the future. But this is W7MS taking earlies for the Friday Collins Collectors Association Net West Coast Edition. Anybody else wishing to join us, give me a call, W7MS. Well, at least I wasn't being rude and ignoring someone who was waiting patiently, so anybody else wishing to join us? So, Dennis, what are the plans for the S-line? Let's hear the serial number and product information.
Okay, well, Mel, JBD, brought a 75S3B and a 32S1, which was pretty much a parts unit. It all started out, I was looking for a case for a 32S1 that I have restored, and so he had a 32S1 that, he ended up selling me, and so anyway, I took the case off of it, and it was in kind of rough shape. We'll just leave it at that. Missing all the tubes, pretty dirty, just nothing that couldn't be little TLC and, things of that nature. So anyway, I got the 32S1 from Mel, and that's been repaired and cleaned up, and it works. So now I'm in search of another case. Since I used the case from that one for my other one. And also it didn't have the band crystals in it. So, I'm trying to kind of piece those together as they come along. And the 75S3B was a real nice shape. It was a later model one that has the shield can over the filters and the extra, I think it's T9, transformer in the IF and so forth. And 312B4 also came with it. That was missing just the rectifier tube. And I'm sorry, 516F2 rather, just missing the rectifier tubes, and that's working fine. And then a 312B4. So anyway, like I said, I got all that from Mel. Also, I picked up a Drake 2C receiver from a guy, and a beautiful condition. I mean, it looks like it just came out of the shipping container. Works really well, and so I was pleased with that. And I got a freebie. A guy gave me an old Catcom 16,000 transceiver, and fairly rare unit, but it's pretty well trashed, and it looks like somebody originally hooked up the 12 volts backwards into it, and they blew out the protection circuit for that, and so in their wisdom they bypassed it with a number 12 wire inside, and they must have plugged it in backwards again, because all the 3-terminal regulators, everything on the boards they're blown off the boards, and that's pretty much the only way you can do something like that. So anyway, yeah, all in all, it was a real good deal. We got to take the tour through Dennis's collection there and everything else, and real good turnout. I think there was 29 people that showed up, and weather was nice, and all in all, it was a good day trip.
Well, a great report, W7MS here. Well, congratulations on the usual call-in stuff, but the 2C. So now you'll have to find a matching transmitter maybe and get a retro novice station going. But and great on the. The idiot diode did its job, but then the idiot bypassed the problem and did it again. So, I'd say the term idiot diode, but that's maybe a moronic diode in the protection circuit there. But that's interesting. You get a second chance, and that guy even took a third chance and lost on all three. So that's really great. And so this is W7MS taking earlies for the Collins Collectors Association. Give me a call if you want to join us.
W6RBJ says to W7MS, like to join.
Well, Ron, how you doing? Good signal into Reno. Nice to hear you.
Doing fine. You've got, as usual, a tremendous signal out here to the Redwood Coast. Just clean as can be and sound like you're in the room talking to me. So, I've got my usual text question at some point for the net, just to get some ideas on the latest project I've got, which is the meter on a 32F1. So, back to you, Mike.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna stump the band again tonight, but that's good. And just by chance, I got my latest edition and copy of the Signal magazine from the CCA today, and there's a nice article from our senior guru, our senior engineer there, concerning the restoration of an M2. But he does have a close-up picture of timing the band switch. And I remember a few weeks ago you were having band switch issues, so I saw that photograph in the caption, and I thought of you, Ron. So what do you think of that?
Well, I have to tell you that I also received that today, and when I opened it up and saw that those close-ups of that band switch, exactly the same thing. I thought, boy, that thing looks beautiful. How could I get mine to look like that? But and at 70K2, that thing looked like it was brand new off the factory floor. So I'm anxious to do more than just look at the pictures on this article. Back to you.
Well, okay. Well, great to hear you. And anybody else wishing to join us for the Friday evening, or let's make it Friday late afternoon, Collins Collectors Association at W7MS.
Yeah, Mike, you might want to scratch Tom, W7I. His neighbors came by, and so he's checked out.
Okay, are Tom's neighbor, was this a friendly visit?
Yeah, it's neighbor across the street, so they're buddies.
Okay, well, that's nice to know. You never know. The way you stated that, it could have been, it's maybe time to call the Winnemucca PD. But okay, well, 7-3s to Tom, and I guess he probably got you on the back channel, filled you in on that. So it was great to have him stop by for a short visit. So thanks for the update. But anybody else wishing to join us? Okay, I got you, Skip, in Santa Monica, and there was a W6 question mark. Go ahead, W6.
Yeah, W6Y.
Well, good evening, George. You're a little light into Reno, but I'm sure things will improve, but we've got you. So anybody else? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and read the net preamble here. So let's get it started. This is W7MS Whiskey 7 Mexico Sierra. My name is Mike, and I'm located in the city of Reno, state of Nevada, actually Washoe County, but close enough. I'll be your net control station today. Welcome to the regular Friday evening West Coast edition of the Collins Collectors Association Collins Net. We meet here every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 0300 UTC Saturday to exchange information on Collins radio-related topics. We welcome questions and comments on the restoration and operation of Collins amateur, military, and commercial gear. You don't have to be running Collins equipment to join us. Anyone with an interest in Collins radio is welcome to check in. The purpose of the CCA is to promote the preservation, restoration, and use of Collins amateur radio equipment and to preserve the history and lore of Collins radio. In addition, we provide a technical and historical information archive for Collins radio information. The CCA is licensed by Rockwell Collins to use images, logos, manuals, and printed materials. For more information about the Collins Collectors Association, its forums, activities, services, and how to become a member, please visit our website at www.collinsradio.org. Please help our efforts by joining the Collins Collectors Association. So this is, of course, W7MS. I'm your net control tonight, and we'll just start off with the rotation as listed with Chuck. But great comments, Dennis, on the vintage sideband barbecue. Conflicts in amateur radio. I attended the Military Radio Collectors Group meet in San Luis Obispo, which was planned for the same period of time. Had a great time down there. Central coast of California is still the land of milk and honey in God's country there in the great state of California. Had a great time. Brought home some goodies. There was quite a stampede Saturday morning at the swap. There was an estate sale, and when the van drove up, it was just it was amazing. I got a few goodies, but it was also fun to people watch and observe the stampede for the goodies. But this is W7MS, and one last call for anybody else wishing to join us here on the net tonight. Nothing heard. Any relays? Well, we're going to get this rolling here. So over to Chuck. With the Jim Dandy, he's cheating. He's not drifting tonight, but that's okay because we never know you're drifting, Chuck. So N6AF over to Dennis, ND7M, over to Mike, W6MVM. And then Ron, you can tail it here at W6RBJ, and then back to me, Ron, and you can spring the question to the group. So, Chuck, take it away. N6AF W7MS.
W7MS, November 6 Alpha Fox, with a little test feedback from the laptop. Good evening, everybody, from Emerald Hills. And Mike, we're only about 1 mile east of the San Andreas Fault, so I think we're always drifting a bit, or prepared to have a sync loss at some point in the near future. So, and by the way, using my handy dandy counter and external DDS generator in lieu of the PTO, you appear to only drift about 0.015 hertz. Just a little bit of jitter on that last transmission. I'm just kidding. I have no clue where we all are, but I think I'm close. I'm within a few hertz. On the 1963 KWM2, and I've got that padded down about 5 dB and deloaded. So lightly driving my SB220 for about 400 PEP out to the inverted V at 35 feet. And it may be being affected slightly as my lovely bride is out there gardening just below one of the elements. but it's quite high above her, so I think she's relatively safe. I don't see her hair standing straight up or anything. So we'll keep moving it on here then. NV7M to take it, N6AF.
Okay, Chuck, N6AF from the Collins Group, NV7M. Yes, Dennis, I'm here in Pahrump, Nevada, and a beautiful day today. I would say we're probably in the upper 80s, clear skies, and just a little bit of a breeze going outside, so it was comfortable. I picked up a Bauer 707 broadcast transmitter, and I've been converting it to 75 meters, and so I've got the oscillator through the driver stages all working now. The regular panel meters that are on it were all bad, and so I've got some replacements on order. They'll hopefully be here next week. And once they show up, then I can bring up the PA and the modulator sections and get all the current sets and all of that type of a thing going. And also my Collins 20V came home, and it's outside in the container along with the Bauer, and so that was kind of a good thing. It's like seeing an old friend, come home again, I guess. So anyway, tonight we're running the Rockwell Collins HF8070A transceiver, right around 1,200 watts out or so, and the antenna is a full wave loop. And band conditions look good for this time of night. It's quite surprising. So everyone's we have well over S9, so it hopefully will improve as time goes along. Anyway, we'll send it to Mike, W6MVM, ND7M.
ND7M, W6MVM. Everybody's really strong here tonight, even Skip. And it's good to hear everybody. We're on the 1959 S1 line, and with a Vietnam War beat-up old 30L1 and a D104 mic, AT auto tuner driving a 205-foot G5 RV antenna up in the trees at about 60, 70 feet. And we got lots of trees. So, as I said, we're working hard on moving everything over here and over to the ranch from Soulsbyville. We took the antennas down in Soulsbyville, took the big IR, step IR, vertical down, pulled all the coax out, pulled it out of the house. So we're shut down as HF operations from Soulsbyville, and we'll be moving the license over here shortly. So anyway, it was a great fun, but running 500 to a kilowatt or so on the G5 RV in an area where it was hard to walk between the houses without, you could stretch your hands out and almost touch the houses between them. It wasn't a great thing. I remember my neighbor complained to me. She was going to call the FBI. She thought I was a spy because I was running CW, probably on my KWS1. But anyway, that's the kind of neighborhood we're leaving. We're here on a ranch that's 5.4 acres. We got a huge tower. Right now we have a trap tri-bander up there, TA33, but we also have a step IR antenna to go back up there. We have the trap tri-bander because we've been running contesting with multiple stations. So we use field day filters and run multiple stations on the trap tri-bander on multiple bands. and also on the G5RV unloadable bands. Which is great fun for contesting. We did very well in the California QSO party, running that way on both CW and SSB. And I'm enjoying CW. I'm really looking forward to getting my KWM 380 back over here. It was here before. It's a good CW rig. And also my KWS 175A4, which I really love to run CW on, even though you got to rotate the dang knob. It's not quite break-in, but it is a superb CW rig. Anyway, let me pass it on to W6RBJ, W6MVM.
W6MVM and the group, W6RBJ, a fine business. Good signals tonight. Dennis, you're the only one who's down a little bit from the rest, but my noise level is at an S0, and so everyone is a solid Q5 copy here tonight. I guess the stuff coming out of the sun is starting to die off a bit. Boy, a few days ago I couldn't hear anything on 80. But tonight we're running my trusty S3 line, 75S3C, 32S3A, 30L1, and the SM3 mic, and using my favorite little high gain high tower out here. Yeah, I had mentioned to Mike MS that I had an interesting question for the group. All you good engineers who know a whole heck of a lot more about this than I do. I have been working on a little 32S1 that I picked up some time ago, and it hadn't been really well cared for. Something had happened in the previous storage where there had been some pressure or something bumped the meter glass on the panel meter and pushed it backwards into the meter itself. And so I removed it, which was a real pain in the butt. But I took the meter out, took it apart, painted the inside of the meter with white paint for better reflectivity, and that really does do a job. That's a great little project. And I've got it all put back together. But what I find is that although it reads properly, down towards zero, the needle sticks a little bit. It's not real smooth, and it's not mechanically rubbing on anything that I can see. It clears the face of the meter and the glass. It's almost as if, with all those years of air getting into it, that there's corrosion or something going on with the bearing that holds it. Have any of you ever come across this? It's as if the bearing needed to be lubricated. And I'd love to hear if anyone had experience like this. The meter looks pristine except for that little problem that when you load it up and when it then drops back down to zero, it sometimes will stick a little bit above zero, or it just doesn't settle back. I say you tap it and it'll go back down, but it's as if there's some friction on the bearing surfaces of it. So I'd love to hear thoughts about that. If any of you have seen it, I really don't want to replace the entire meter, but I suppose if I have to, I have to. So that's the latest interesting mechanical electrical problem from W6RBJ. So there you have it, and oh yeah, we've had beautiful weather here. It's not as warm as other places. We hit a high of about 62 degrees today, but it's been clear and sunny and quite nice up here. It's what the redwoods like. So back to you, Mike, W7MS, and the group, W6RBJ.
Well, thank you, Ron, W6RBJ and the great group. Representing the Collins Collectors Association community, W7MS, Mike and Reno. Yeah, and I already mentioned that I was running the HF380, and that's driving the 548U5 linear amplifier at about 1,300 watts out to a coax dipole. Nothing exotic in the aerial department here, but Chuck doing great. And I'm just following all your advice. All I can say, I'm a good follower. And Dennis, great for the wrap-up. Great on the Bauer 707 and the 20V. That had been mentioned sometime in the past that it was It's kind of a bouncing 20B between northern and southern Nevada, and it's bounced back to your station. So congratulations on that and all the acquisitions. And I was chuckling when you were describing the S-line, the S1 that was purchased as a parts unit. And boy, my SWR just took a jump. Whatever. Hello. But and it was too good to part out, so you had to restore, basically do the restoration. Certainly understand that situation. And let me see here. Mike, fine on the move, and your love for CW, and Ron. Maybe a little lubrication with a little deoxide, since it's basically a lubricant oil of probably about one weight. Maybe just a profound slight amount on the needle bearing surfaces, but yeah, it's a frustrating issue when you're so close to success, but it's not quite perfect. So what can you say? And wow. I'm going to have to check into this. This has never happened before here with my line flattener. Isn't it great to be confused in the middle of running a net here? Why is my SWR 1.8 when it was 1.02? But Chuck probably has that explanation. We'll find out. But with that, assuming that I'm still radiating, we'll turn it over to the last two, and then we'll give a shout-out for anybody else wishing to join us. So over to George in Lemon Grove, W6YEC, and then over to Skip, K6LGL, and beautiful Santa Monica. And then back to me, Skip, W7MS.
Oh, your signal hasn't changed here.
Well, thank you, Skip. K6LGLW7MS in the group. Yeah, you came up to S9 towards the end. You built through the transmissions. I was going to give you an official Q4 to Q5, but you ended with Q5 on the 902DM. And George, great to hear you. 500 watts, doing well into Reno, and the usual propagation challenges. I'm a little too far north for the start of the net this time of year, but which explains why I generally take the summer off from a lot of the net activities, like the vintage sideband net and some of the other stuff, because it's just it's too hit and miss. But it wouldn't be as hit and miss as last Friday with Dennis's net control and our event. And I was here, and Dennis could hear me, but Dennis and Yinyo Kern could hear me, but Dennis and Parampa was no copy, and I could only hear a few syllables of his voice. So it was just time to shut things off and do something else. But that's good. And man, I'm really curious on this 1.8 to 1 SWR there on the old LP 100A, but them's the brakes. Maybe yeah, exactly. But let me see a few comments. Yeah, the MRCG, my acquisition, a pair of my acquisitions was Collins related, and that was a TCS receiver and transmitter, and they were TCS 12, so they were a Collins contract. But my apology to my fellow aficionados was, yeah, I need like another TCS set, but these were unique because the TCS 12 was unissued and new in the box. And I had to inform the seller that the TCS 12 was not new in the box, but was a 1957 refurb from a Marine Corps depot in Albany, Georgia. So at least it had been in the box since 1957, after probably doing its duty with the Marine Corps. So that was some of the acquisitions from that meet. And a last weekend at the Reno, Great Reno Famous Swap Meet, I picked up a Recal RA-17 receiver, and I've made the mistake of passing on those in the past, but I didn't pass this time, so now I've got another 75-pound receiver that needs to find some room in a radio rack somewhere. But you know, it's only a hobby, right? That's the explanation. So this is W7MS. Before we turn it over to the top of the list and Chuck, anybody else wishing to join us, give me a call. Well, I hear a voice. Is that for us? I need a relay.
Yeah, those are the East Coast boys. They're pretty low, but the band's coming up for them.
Okay, well, thanks, Dennis. Just wanted to make sure we're all gentlemen here on 3895. So, other comments? Yeah, it's fun. Well, I want to know when it comes around to Dennis again, if he's going to be coming up, or if Foster W4HCX has plans to attend the N7RCA swap meet on June 1. He's been here in previous years, wasn't here last year. But if that's the case, is he going to bring his contingent of Parumpers to northern Nevada? And that might include you, Dennis. So we'll await that answer. So Chuck, back to you. N6AF. Maybe some comments for Ron's question with the meter movement, and then Dennis, ND7M, Mike, W6MVM. And Ron, W6RBJ, and we'll finish with you and see if you're satisfied with the armchair experts. So go ahead, Chuck. N6AF, W7MS.
W7MS, N6AF. So just a comment, Mike. I was watching your frequency, and it appears quite stable, but I did detect a subcarrier that it appears to be sending FF Foxtrot Sierra in the background. It's a subscript, FS, and I suspect that implies friendly sarcasm based on my readings here in the lab. But you might investigate that, but I'm not really sure. So that's just something else coming out of the counter and the DDS generator here. So let me see. I haven't been troubleshooting a lot of radios this week because nothing broke. But to change topic slightly, but still a troubleshooting topic, the sewer line backed up at my local rental house where my daughter and son-in-law moved into recently, and that's the address for the on QRZ.com. But here's the dilemma. I had the plumber run a camera down there, and we've discovered that the lateral, called the lower lateral line, that runs out and connects to the main pipe in the middle of the street it needs to be replaced. It's a 1940 housing. That's the original, this is right in there with some of my oldest HQ 120s and whatnot. Things just wear out. Well, here's the problem. And if anybody can find a suggested fix for this, how do I avoid paying the $17,000 bill to have the street dug up? It's my nickel. In that neighborhood, homeowners have to pay for that. So if you can think of a way, Mike, or anybody else, I'll pay you half that amount of money. And this can't be doing it late at night very quickly or anything like that. Anyway, $17,000. I could have bought a couple more boat anchors with that. So I don't know. Maybe it's a relief to my wife that I won't have the ability to buy more radios. So I'll keep this moving on to Dennis there. ND7M to take it, N6AF.
Okay, real good, Chuck. Thanks. N6AF and the Collins group here, ND7M. Well, I don't have any particular, magic fixes for your sewer line problem. A couple of years ago, I went through an issue here at the house with my septic system. I had some large trees, and the roots got into the leach field drain pipe, and it meant the cut to the chase here. This was about a year-long project. I had to have 7 large trees removed, which cost me about $35,000, and then I had to get all the permits and everything to replace the leach field. So I'm in at about 40 grand. So right now 17 grand. I feel your pain. Definitely. And Mike, on the TCS stuff, interesting that you found something that's the age and condition it's in. Unfortunately, I'm really kind of out of space here for a lot of the older gear, and I'm out of space for a lot of the newer gear too, as far as that goes. But anyway, it's good to hear you found something like that. And George, best wishes on your speedy recovery there with your health issues. I know how shingles are. My mother suffered through that for a while, and they do go away, but boy, when you have them, it's terrible. And she had kind of a unique thing with her shingles. They were on the bottoms of her feet. Most people have the shingles, like in their chest or abdomen area. Hers was on the bottom of her feet, so that made it really difficult for her to get around and do things like that. And as far as RCA's swap meet and brouhaha up there, as far as I know, Foster is going to go, and he's going to take another guy, Jerry and Greg, with him to help unload the semi truck and set up up all of the displays there. I will not be going. I went to RCA's swap some years back, and for me it's an overnighter, and I guess a lot of the shine on the older gear is kind of worn off for me in that respect for a long drive in that respect. So anyway, enough of that. The East Coast guys are coming up in signal strength here, and Ron, on the meter, I know for some reason your signal's kind of down between us tonight, but if you're copying, it sounds as though there might be some dust or some debris, we'll call it, possibly in the meter movement. I've had that happen in the past, and it's a matter of taking the meter apart and very gingerly blowing some air through the armature area, and I've always gotten like maybe a little paint chip or a piece of metal shadings or something, and that would come out, and then that would restore the meter function itself. I've never had an issue with bearings where it would hang up or do things like that, but usually if the bearings are bad, they're bad, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it. But I have had the issues with some foreign matter, I guess you'd call it, in the actual meter movement itself, and cleaning that out really worked pretty well. Okay, anyway, enough of that. So off we go to Mike, W6MVM, ND7M.
ND7M, W6MVM. Thanks. Very good suggestion on the meter. I haven't had to open a meter in a long time, but I did often do that, and the movements are very sensitive to any kind of contamination, and sometimes you just, they're getting old, and paint on the inside will break down and fall into the movement, and that movement is, the arsenal movement is pretty sensitive. Anyway, I'm glad to hear everybody tonight. Everybody's strong, and the noise level is low, which is really nice. And unlike last week when we started the net, and I had a very high noise level at the beginning of the net, but it kind of dropped out, and it was a good net. But I do operate a lot of CW. I really love it. I like to run the Collins gear on there. The 75S3C, 32S3 is a great CW combination. I love running it, and I also run the KWM 380 and also the 75A4 KWS1. It's a little crude on CW, but it's fun to run. Especially, I got some nice CW filters in the 75A4, which work really good. And it's easy to zero in, as is the 75S3, 32S3. I do run this, I have run this 32S1, 75S1 on CW. I don't have a good filter in it, but when the bands are clear, it's okay. I made quite a few nice contacts on it. And I'm a bug operator, so it doesn't bother me to run on this old gear because I hook up a Vibroflex and go. Anyway, I just wanted to say this weekend, 18th, is the Samuel F. Morris Radio Club out of Sacramento. W6SFM.org is running a bug roundup. They do this twice a year. It's a lot of fun, just encouraging QSOs on CW. So W6SFM, Samuel F. Morris.org. Look them up. It's a good club. It's out of Sacramento, but all over California. Members all over California. They hold a really, really nice net on Tuesday nights. at 8 o'clock on 3545. 3545. So if anybody, you just tune in and listen. It is a really clean net, runs at about 15 words a minute, and it's great fun. Enough on CW. Back to, let me pass it off to Ron, W6RBJ, W6MVM.
Fine business there, Mike. W6MVM and the Collins Group, W6RBJ. Well, I appreciate the comments on the meter, and yeah, I think time is going to come that after putting it back in the unit, I'm going to pull it back out again, and this time when I take it apart, I'm going to take the meter face off so I can really see down in there. The notion of possibly a small foreign body comes along as not a bad suggestion, since, as I say, for some time the glass had been pushed back from its normal position, and so there was air circulating into that meter space from the outside, and who knows what might have gotten in there. So I'll keep the group informed as to what happened. So yeah, that's about the story from this end. People were talking about some of the fun medical things they've had. As many of you know, I am a physician, an old orthopedic surgeon who's pretty much retired now, but had the old guy that would deal with broken bones and all that, worn out joints. But just this last Monday, I got one of my buddies here, who's an ophthalmologist, to remove a cataract from my right eye. I had noted over a period of about 6 months that my visual acuity dropped from about 20/20 to about 2100, and it was not correctable, and he said, yeah, you got a cataract. And guys, let me tell you, he took that thing out. It did not hurt. It took him about 40 minutes. He put one of these new types of lenses that just unfold in there, and by the next day, I was reading without glasses and had better vision in that eye than I did in the other one, which is my good one. So I got to tell you, some of these things that you can do nowadays just boggle my mind, and I've been in this business for about 45 years. So at any rate, if any of you have difficulties with your vision and have a cataract, I can recommend it as a very effective procedure. But we got way off the subject, and I apologize. But yeah, so I believe I'm supposed to give it back to Mike at this point, and so W7MS and the group, W6RBJ.
Well, thank you, Ron. And well, I've cured the standing wave ratio problem, and in my amplifier I don't think needs to be retuned. So we'll just fake it. W6RBJ, W7MS. Your affable net control station for the Friday Evening Collins Collectors Association net, and that's especially set for Chuck N6AF because he's listening to my subliminal sub-channel transmission. So thank you, Chuck, for it's no longer a secret. Thank you much. And Dennis, I wasn't aware that you'd attended the great N7 RCA swap meet in the past, but so we may have passed amongst the swappers or the swap sellers. But that's great, and we're looking forward to seeing Foster and crew up from Pahrump. And I have my spot reserved on Brad Hollander's leather couch in his living room. So easy trip for me. It's only about 40 minutes one way, and I've got great accommodations for the evening. So and some great cohorts and tall tales to be said and heard from the various folks who will be hanging out in and about on Friday for that event. And yeah, fine on the meter comments. I was just taking Ron for his word because he said he had thoroughly cleaned that guy out. It was 120%. He had done everything. So I just thought I would throw something out to give Ron something to chew on, but now he's going to take his meter apart, and not a bad suggestion for a second look because that brought to mind a story. Years ago, I sold a Johnson Thunderbolt amplifier that I'd gone through. And I had taken the meters apart and cleaned them out because, like a lot of elderly radios, it had been around some heavy smokers. But it appeared to work just fine for me, used it for some time, but probably in jostling in the move, I left a little piece of tissue in one of the meters, and it was hanging up. And the buyer just had to mention to me how he had to take the meter apart, and he found this little piece of tissue in the meter move. But I didn't fess up or take credit for that, but I knew it was me. But famous last words, it worked when I had it. So what's the problem? But he was telling me about the Nimrod who had cleaned the meter out improperly. So and of course we both knew it was me, but I wasn't going to fess up on that one because we all have egos here in amateur radio. So with that, we're going to turn over to George W6YEC, over to Skip K6LGL, and then we'll give a final shout out for anybody else that may wish to join the rotation here. So George, I hope you're doing better, and you're certainly doing fine with the 500 watts. We got to say that. W6YEC, W7MS.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I know we've all got experience. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I don't think you would know you were doing recording. And you go with my life. Hey, Skip, tell your nephew, thank you for all your companionship on ham radio for helping me. We're all very grateful because it just makes a difference when we think. And we'll see how things go during the week on the night AM net, and then on the Western night net. I know you'll be a lot better than that, so that's take a big pressure off of people. It's always hard to this is not the only thing. So we're glad you got that fixed. Anyway, not much more here. It's enjoyable. So we got to most everybody. Anyway, I was great for Ron and anyway, things that are running fast, are monster running fast. I just kind of think I'm going to do that. So it's like fun that's on the left here with it. And I'm using a definitely 811 microphone. And it does have a lot of draws. Some of the audio turns way up. But something like that, that's with the KWFC. I don't know. That was my test thought. Anyways, I happen to have the money for it right now. I noticed that they put out there they drive, and I did it about the drive on the money. It works. Public radio. Please, everybody, have a great week. I tell you, I'm not the business to go up to that clock test. So those that are there, have fun. Love like a dog. And, but I got to one too, where remember on the doesn't go back, that might be more. The system had it all. So I'm not going to run I got what I do is go to the press. But that was a pretty good business back here next road. One and all. Thanks for the business. Buying up this service. And yeah, the next people will take care, one and all. Over to you, K6L. That's what I'm saying. Why? Next road.
Oh, very good, George. W6YEC, and the CCA group, K6 Little Hen North, Skip in Santa Monica. Well, you're sounding pretty good on the air, but shingles can wear you down. so too. All the doctors are mostly, they could carry yourself, and I hope you'll come out of it feeling fine. You seem to be doing okay. And finding all the others, as it gets a little darker, the signals have improved. Joe's Mike there in Reno, and Dennis had not too much of a change. It's still very strong, and they want the strongest signal there. And so he's doing very, very well. And Ron, his signal has come up W6LBJ, so, and Mike also on the truck. So it sounds like we have a lot of things. Yeah, I use my own oversight regarding the antenna. I have a tree growing outside the shack. And the last 2 years, especially last year, I let it get away from me. I generally kept a trim and so on. But it's too close to my main mast for the center point of the antenna, as I said. And, being on a city-type lot, you don't have too many options as to where and how you run your antennas. So I let it get away, and when I looked at it, how it stretched the antenna, I was almost sure that it snapped the lead on the corner of the house there for the dipole. And of course, that's exactly what happened. So that will be restored. You'll see a significant improvement in the signal there on 75. I'm using my doublets on that on the dipole. Dipole I use for mostly AM work. Okay, that's the 73. Thank you for doing the net. And comment to you, Dennis, ND7M, found on the Bauer 707 and the Collins 20V. The 707 is one of my favorites. If I had the room, I'd love to have one. But I don't have the room, and I'm not about to expand the space and break a wall and all this other sort of things just to put it in. So, and I don't like remote running, so. But if you have this space, it's a beautiful piece of equipment. So good luck with that. 73s, everybody. And Mike did a great job tonight. And hey, with this spring, summer propagation, some of those nets, even sideband, although sideband has a better signal to noise ratio than AM, but it can be very trying. That's it on Mike. W7 military standard and the CCA nets, K6, little green light.
Well, thank you, Skip. Good solid S9 Q5 reception from your station. Glad you've got your antenna issues resolved in W7MS for the West Coast Collins Collectors Association net. And 7-3s to you, George. Get well soon, but from a signal level and your voice, we'd never know, but totally understand it's time to take it easy and get off the radio. But 7-3s to you. I forgot to comment on Chuck's sewer lateral issues and then Dennis's response. Well, yeah, we've this house and the previous house were both septic bound systems, and had issues with both, but we won't get into that because before we know it, we'll be transgressing into toilet bowl issues and other. Then we'll have to transfer over to electrical problems and house wiring. So we'll stay away from that. And yeah, Mike, fine on CW. We know you love it. Forgot to comment directly on that one, and it never hurts to spread the word. You're certainly a prophesizer for continuous wave, and that's good. And Ron, fine on cataract surgery. Congratulations. You're one of the miracle patients. Sometimes it's a little mixed results, but I've only been involved at several occasions for the drop-off pickup for the patient. But I know inevitably, if we last long enough on this planet, we will be hopefully have as excellent results as you do and actually have improved vision. So congratulations on that. And with that, I think we still have a few minutes here. So if there's any gas left in the tank, and in fact here we'll just see if there's anybody else wishing to join us here on the rotation, give me a call, W7MS. Well, nothing heard. My gosh, we've almost run out the hour, but maybe we're just going to run this for final comments. I've got George and Skip signed out, but we'll run it over to Chuck because he's always got something to say, and then over to Dennis and Mike, and then finish up with RBJ Ron for a 73 round, and then I'm going to shut things down. And I've got a few tomato plants to stick in the ground. Maybe it's time to do that. See if the bunny rabbits come out tonight to do any damage. N6AF W7MS.
W7MS and the group N6AF. I was going to say, Mike, thanks for not scheduling any more solar flares this late this week. So it's been really enjoyable conditions. That really is much better. I guess last week it was just a mess. It kind of starts out bad and then falls apart altogether under those conditions. But this is quite good. Speaking of meters, I bought a new old stock Simpson 100 milliamp meter that looked like just the right diameter to replace an old meter I have. It's sitting in front of me. It's mounted in it's a AMCW homebrew transmitter from plans in the 1970 handbook. It uses a pair of 6 Tango 9 compactrons, and really, really cool. About maybe 2.5 watt carrier and 8 watts PEP on AM. You run that through a couple of amps, and then the final one being the SP220, and before you know it, you're running a 250 watt carrier and almost a kilowatt. But anyway, I never liked the meter that I borrowed from my father's assortment of parts back in 1971. It's a 200 mil meter, and this rig only runs about maybe 40 mils when it's loaded properly, this little homebrew rig. So this 100 mil Simpson fit right in there perfectly. So now I can just watch that needle swing up on every transmission. It just captivates me, and it's got that matte black finish. New old stock too, in the Simpson box with the little cellophane bag with the hardware, and found it on eBay for about $15, and I just couldn't pass it up. So that's my meter story. And there was something else. Oh, yes, talking about a bad case of shingles. Well, that rental house, not only does it have a bit of an issue with its exhaust pipe, but it kind of needs new shingles, at least on the western-facing half of the house. But that quote was $18,000. So there you go. Between the two of them, I'm at about $35K. So the roof can wait a while. So I've got my own, not making fun of the health shingles, but I've got to deal with that a little bit later on. And one comment for the orthopedic surgeon. I got whacked on my road bicycle 2.5 years ago by a guy turning left in front of me, coming towards me in a car, and had a fractured left acetabulum, that probably a 5-inch long crack, but it was non-displaced, and I was back on the bike 8 weeks later. All I had to do was not put any weight on my left leg for 8 weeks, which was kind of a bit of psychological stress, but it sure could have turned out a lot worse. So that's my bone message for the night. And onward, ND7M, Dennis, 7-3 from Emerald Hills, Redwood City, N6AF.
Okay, Chuck, N6AF in the Collins Group, ND7M. Well, yeah, nice net tonight, quite enjoyable. Signals come up, to a very pleasant level tonight. I'm not hearing the East Coast guys, so bands kind of changed around, or maybe they all went to bed by now. You know how the East Coast guys are, right? So anyway, yeah, Skip, hopefully you'll see on the Swan net tomorrow night. I got the old SS200 out here, and probably hook it into maybe one of the alpha amplifiers here. Last week I was running it barefoot, and I think it'd probably be a little bit easier on everybody's ears to have a little bit more power on it. So anyway, yeah, thanks again, Mike, for doing the net, and we'll say 73s to everybody, and we'll catch you next week. So everyone have a good, safe week to come. So over to you, Mike, W6MVM, ND7M, 73.
ND7M, W6MVM. Good to hear everybody tonight. And I just put out the CW thing. I have really enjoyed, getting on 80 meter or 40 meter SSB is, if you just fish around, it's very chancy, and a lot of the conversations are pretty rough. But on CW, there's kind of three CW camps: conversational, and DX, and contesting. So that's the three big things. But the conversational CW is like this net. It is really nice just to talk to people on CW on 40 and 80. 20 is really great. And I have a Korean guy I talk to on 15 frequently, and 10 meters when it's open, it's just unbelievable. I worked about 50 DX stations on 10 meters in one afternoon. It was great fun. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out. It's kind of like the old days when you could just call CQ or just answer a CQ and have a really decent conversation. Anyway, let me pass it back to net control in 7MS. Mike, W6MVM.
Well, thank you, Mike. Let's not forget Ron. He probably has some rebuttals. Go ahead, Ron, W7MS.
Okay, fine business. No rebuttals, just some comments that yes, as the sun has gotten lower in the sky, the signals have all come up. Some folks that were in here maybe just at an S2 or 3 are pushing up into 7 and 8 land now. Notably, Dennis, boy, you're just pounding in here. Sounds really good. And the other thing I was going to say, if Chuck is still listening, well, you dodged the bullet. A non-displaced acetabular fracture. Yeah, it's a drag to have to not bear weight for 8 weeks. But let me tell you, I've been involved on putting those together when they blow apart, and man, you would not want that. That is one commando surgery to do, and a real hassle to recover from. So, wow, well done, well done. And finally, Mike, just a comment. Yeah, when you had that little experience with your SWR jumping, I did notice it here. You dropped maybe 1 or 2 S units, but you still came in, and you're counting now. You're the strongest signal out here, coach. Now you're pushing 5 to 10 over S9. So it sounds like a good time, and thanks for running the net. And back to you, 73s, and have a great week. W6RBJ.
Okay, well, thank you, Ron. W6RBJ and the West Coast Friday Evening Collins Collectors Association at W7MS. Well, great signals from all. Had a lot of fun tonight. And everybody's busy. Everybody's radioactive one way or another, and that's good, as am I. And certainly enjoying swap meet season. But I also understand the comments about the bigger stuff is less of an attraction. I think like Dennis and George have commented, yeah, and I'm basically full up. I mean, I've gone vertical for a couple of years, and I'm out of vertical. The horizontal's been got for a long time. Not to mention the load-bearing capacity of the beam and post floor in this house. But then again, that'll probably be some future owner's problems, not mine, based on demographics at this location. But that's the way that goes. So with that, everybody have a great week. It's been fun. I enjoy doing this. And it's been a few weeks since I've been a roundtable participant. That's just been based on either Mother Nature last Friday or that 20-over spur that lands right here on 3895, not to mention all the noise issues that from the solar panels that are abating as the sun sets in the west. And all I can hear is those sideband conversations, Mike. And I also understand CW. It takes two to tango. And if one person is not proper on CW, well, you're just not going to have any contacts, or there can maybe be a rapid QSB situation. But certainly understand that it's a good mode and very congenial, or at least very official in the contesting or DX side of things, and congenial if it's conversational. But with that, we'll say 7-3 Reno. So this is W7MS officially closing the Collins Collectors Association net. Everybody have a great evening and a great weekend. W7MS.
Thanks, Mike. See you later, ND7M.